G'day guys, it is Ben here from Hunt the Night. Now, this is probably not going to be the only video I'm going to do on this topic because I think I've got a lot to learn and a lot to play around with still. And I'm going to be up front. I don't have a heap of experience with clip-on devices. And I've been doing a fair bit of research into them and playing around and talking to people. So if you guys have got some comments or an advice on this that I can play around with, once you watch this, let me know, because I want to understand these devices a little bit better in terms of not necessarily how to use them, but how to get them to return to zero real well. And it just may be this device, and I'm pretty sure I've got an idea of where the problem's coming from. Now, what we've got here, we've got the HIKMICRO Thunder TH35, which is a fantastic little scope in its own right, okay? For, you know, that entry level, it's a really, really cool scope. And you've seen my videos on it, you know I'm pretty impressed with it for what it does. But it's also marketed as a clip-on. Now, everyone who calls me knows that I'm not the biggest fan of clip-ons because you're kind of merging two different technologies that were never really designed to work all together. I'm going to say off the bat, though, is that I'm pretty impressed with the image quality when you stick it on the actual device. It's got me thinking about reevaluating my opinions. And a lot of people have been asking me, hey, Ben, when are you going to test it? When are you going to test it? When are you going to test it as a clip-on? Well, guess what? I've been playing around with it today as a clip-on because I needed a firmware update. Because what happens when you clip this device onto here or any attachment onto your scope, you've got to make sure that these two images are correlated and corresponding to each other, okay? So when they first got the HIKMICRO, there was no way to change the zero on this to match the zero on this, because they have to be, because if there's any deviation, you know, your point of impact is going to be off. They use a shim system for this clip-on device here. So you put a shim in here rather than having a dedicated actual housing. If you buy the Rico one, it comes with a dedicated housing. I've ordered a couple ones to see if I can get it to work with this scope as well. You know, so there's a little bit of variation in this because obviously that will compress. And when I mounted this, and you put it in, just open it, put it in, goes on, throw this lever down, and you're clipped on, okay? Now, what I found was, when I zeroed it, it grouped well. But when I took it back on and off using this system, the grouping was out by about an inch or so. And I'll throw some photos up, I'll try to, of different groupings. You know, but it zeroed well in terms of, you know, using the image calibration method. You know, it worked well. To do that, guys, when you put this on, when it's in the mode of a clip-on, you hold these two buttons down and it'll come up with a menu, and then you just use these buttons to change your X and Y axis, and it just shifts the picture. So the process is you shoot a group, you have a look where that group is. I put another bit of foil up just to show me where that group is, and then I move the picture until my reticle on here is on the actual group that I shot. You want to do this from a sled because there's no point of aim reference, and maybe that's something they can kind of fix, but it's a little bit hard just because you're, you know, looking through this reticle. But anyway, I'm talking to them about that. And then when I took it on and took it off, you know, the groupings are out. So then I thought, okay, I'll leave this attachment on, I'll shoot another group, and I'll unscrew it from here instead and put it back on. Groupings were out again. Not as bad, but they're still out. So if you're going to put it on and leave it on, it's probably going to work. You know, if you've got the ability to recheck it before you go and use it, it's going to work. Because I see why people want these. You know, people don't have Picatinny rails and they don't want to be taking scopes on and off, and they've got a good glass scope that they use all the time. I can understand the attraction of using this, and it works. I had a grouping well. You know, I mean, I'm shooting at 50 meters, but the groups were fine. It's just when I took it on and off, I had a problem. So I'm going to play around with it more, guys. If you've got any other hints or tips, please throw them at me. You know, I don't profess to be an expert in clip-ons, although I'd like to be. I have ordered the Rico clip-on to play around with as well. The CL42, the CH50 is very difficult to keep in stock or get stock of. So I've got one of them coming, which I'll also play around with, and that's got a dedicated housing here. I think this shim system's got a lot to do with it. I don't think it's as accurate when you put it on and off. So look, I'm going to keep playing with it. This is my initial thoughts. It's not my final review. I still think these scopes are absolutely fantastic. You know, for their dollar value, that is for sure. But yeah, I'll keep you updated, guys, and hope you're having a great day.